Hey star people, it's Christopher the AstroMedium and your host intuitive astrologer for the Cosmic Forecast and Energy Update for the week of August 15th through August 21st. We're going to take a look at these energies day by day and take an in-depth look at some of these larger energy signatures that are at play this week so that you can use this energy and not let it use you, okay? Make sure that you like and subscribe below, hit the bell so you can receive notifications when I upload new content. So, let's take a look at this massive, huge week. We are right off the heels of this new moon in Leo, this 8-8 portal that coincidentally coincided. I would have to say that this week coming up is just as intense in certain ways. Lots of energy shifts, so many different conversations being had between outer planets, inner planets, asteroids. Lots of conversations that can cause a lot of confusion, but there's a lot of energy this week as well. So let's start with Sunday, August 15th. We start off this week with a bang with the 2Q moon in Scorpio. So for a lot of you out there, you follow the new moon and the full moon. Well, I am rising in Cancer, so I feel all moon phases very strongly, especially of course new moons and full moons, but also the halfway points in between, and we call these the second quarter moon and the fourth quarter moon. This is the 2Q moon in Scorpio, so there's a lot of energies around that. We start off the week with a very intense moon phase, so there's a lot of conversations being had at that time. Of course, on the same day as this second quarter moon in Scorpio, the sun is going to make a quincunx to Neptune, Mercury is going to join Mars in making a square to the north node, and Chiron is going to oppose Vesta. So what does this mean for you? So of course, when we have the second quarter moon and the fourth quarter moon, that is the sun making a 90-degree angle to the moon. This, of course, creates tension between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. We can't leave this one out, and it's in Scorpio. And one of the really cool aspects around this moon is that the moon will be making a sextile to Pluto at this time, the ruler of Scorpio. So Sunday may be pretty intense. There may be a lot of escapism energy. We've been having a lot of Neptune and escapism energy coming in the past couple of weeks, and this week is no different. We start the week with the sun making a quincunx to Neptune on the same day as the 2Q moon in Scorpio. Also, the moon is going to form a beautiful trine to Neptune that day, activating that sun quincunx conversation with Neptune. So be mindful that this is a great time to go inward. It's definitely a great time to set further intentions as we're halfway to the full moon point. There's some tension, however. We're taking things to extremes at this time. We're going deep. This is definitely a time to plan, re-strategize, and not do so much physical exertion. Our minds are also going to be a little confused at that time as Mercury is going to make a square to the north node, and this past week, Mars formed his square to the north node. The north node is Rahu in Vedic astrology, so some of you may hear me call him Rahu as well, but anytime Mercury makes a square to the north node, Mars makes a square to the north node, there is a force. There is a tendency to want to push things into alignment instead of allowing it. Mercury square the north node can have us meeting up with people, having conversations that are not for our highest good, that may be pulling us off of our path, we think. Anytime the north node's in the conversation, any type of detour or veering off the path that we take usually is part of the greater divine plan. So be mindful of this, or people are challenging you, or if your thoughts are going in a lot of different directions, or if you're not trusting the fact that you in fact do have a purpose and that you are on your way there, and this sense of destiny still awaits you, even though you may be confused about it or feeling lost at this time. Also on the same day as this 2Q moon in Scorpio, Chiron is going to oppose Vesta. So of course a lot of you know what Chiron is. I am Chiron. I have Chiron exactly conjunct my ascendant, so I embody this energy. I specialize in this energy. So anytime Chiron comes into a conversation, I'm definitely going to feel it strongly. But so is everyone else. The collective, this is our collective wound, but it's also the energies that want to be healed and transmuted. Chiron sits in between Saturn and Uranus, so he's the cosmic gatekeeper between the physical reality and the non-physical reality. You could say at this time Chiron is our guide, our fairy godfather that is helping us ascend into these higher dimensions, into these new possibilities and these new future timelines. Well, Chiron opposing Vesta is very interesting. Now, Vesta is the asteroid that is responsible for devotion. She's the sacred flame. It's what you hold holy and sacred and what you give your energy to that is super passionate. She's kind of like Mars energy, but she has more of a divine feminine purpose. She has devotions to a cause under her umbrella, and you feel very passionate about these things at this time. But however, Chiron in an opposition can cause some insecurities to come up. Your weaknesses, your vulnerabilities may be activating you, and you may be putting a lot of your energy into things at this time that is not for your highest good. That may actually be a representation of your wound, not the healing necessarily. So you may be driving your energy into situations, projects, trying to fix people, trying to heal other people, when in fact your higher self is trying to push you to heal yourself. So be mindful of this at this time, especially because Sunday is going to be so emotionally and energetically packed. Lots of tension happening that day. Now, one thing I'd like to add about the Sun making a quincunx to Neptune, for those of you who are newer to astrology or don't understand quincunxes, that's normal. It's a confusing angle. It's 150 degrees, and when the Sun makes a quincunx to Neptune, there's a dissolution of our ego. Our vitality's a little bit lower. Who we think we are there's some disillusionment about that. Some delusions may come into the conversation. So at the time of this 2Q moon in Scorpio, as the moon makes a beautiful trine to Neptune, go within, write some poetry, relax. We've had Venus opposite Neptune, lots of Neptune energy this past week. So this is not a time to force and drive your energy. I'm taking notes myself as I've been doing a lot of projects. I've been pushing my energy a little bit too hard. I am a manifester in human design, and I'm also a super empath and highly sensitive person. So I need to be taking this advice for myself as well. So take it from me. You do want to notice when you've reached too much, because with the Sun's quincunx to Neptune, you may become overstimulated more easily, and you may also be confused as to why you don't feel as motivated or as passionate at that time. Now let's move to August 16th. Monday is going to be a very different day than Sunday, but a lot of those energies on Sunday that are going 0 degrees or exact will still be carrying over throughout the week, especially if they are conversations with the asteroids or outer planets. They last a lot longer. Mercury transits, which we're going to have a couple mischievous Mercury transits on Monday. They last just for a few days. We feel them just for a few days, so it's not that big of a deal, but we do want to watch out our conversations, our communication, how we're getting from point A to point B. A lot of this can cause some confusion in that time. Now, this is a beautiful day. One of my favorite shifts that are going to happen this year, and of course it's going to happen this week, is on Monday. Venus is going to leave Virgo behind and enter her ruling sign of Libra. This is going to really open the heart. This is going to create a lot more sociabilities, extroversion, seeing things. There's an idealism with Venus in Libra. You know, Venus in Virgo was very realistic. She was practical, down to earth, scrutinizing. She criticized herself, but she also was critical of her partners, her loved ones. She had high expectations, and she was selfless. Well, we're going to get a little bit more superficial when Venus enters Libra, and this is not necessarily a bad thing. Superficial doesn't mean fake, it just means surfacey, aesthetic. Venus rules pleasure and beauty and harmony, and Libra is encompassing all of those energies, as this is Libra's home planet. So as Venus enters Libra, we're going to have a period of time where the heart becomes a little bit more romantic, warm. We're a little bit more partner-oriented at this time. We're not quite as selfless as we were when Venus was in Virgo, but we are still focused on the other. Venus in Libra can be idealistic as well. We may be going after partnerships or pursuing projects that may not have a long-term benefit or may not actually really fulfill us deeply. It just looks pretty. Venus in Libra is definitely the rose-colored glasses placement. So you want to be mindful that you're watching your heart space and you're watching who you give your energy to at this time. Things may not be as they appear, but generally speaking, this is a time to be more social, going out, flirting, enjoying the beauty in things, seeing the beauty in things that you otherwise would have been paying too much attention to the details of, or you would have been paying too much attention to the negative sides of it, or being too critical of yourself and the subject that you're focused on. This is definitely Venus and Virgo energy, so this is going to lighten that mood a little bit. Think about pink, flowers, beauty, art, creativity, dance, anything that invokes a sense of pleasure and of course has an aesthetic beauty. Venus in Libra is going to bring that to the surface for us, and there's definitely a sense of enjoyment and pleasure at this time that we may not have felt for a little while. So this is really great. Now Mercury's going to, like his little sprite self, he's going to come in and cause some confusion for us. Mercury is going to make a quincunx to Saturn and a square to Juno. This is interesting as Saturn and Juno are about to form their sextile to each other, and that's a great conversation. But Mercury's going to be there to kind of confuse us, cause some tension. We may have some miscommunications within our long-term partnerships, our agreements. Marriages may take a toll a little bit. There may be some lashing out and some communication errors that need to happen for you two to get on the same page, because some of our long-term partnerships, marriages, agreements that we've made, there's been a lot of things left unsaid, and Mercury may cause that to come to the surface this week. Mercury's quincunx to Saturn is also going to cause some confusion because we're going to be focused on things in the long term. We're going to be communicating with more realism, more logic, more practicality, but it doesn't seem to benefit us at this time. It doesn't seem to get us anywhere. We also may be challenging other people in conversations. We may not be interested in a lot of the beauty or the fun, or our minds might be too focused on tasks and getting things done and putting in more work, where we're not taking in that beauty that Venus and Libra is going to bring into the conversation. And just be mindful on Monday that the moon, which is an activator, is going to activate all three of these planets. The moon is going to form a conjunction to Mercury, a square to Juno, and a sextile to Saturn, which is going to bring that up from the subconscious for you, make it real for you, and you're really going to feel it. The moon can set the mood of the day, where Mercury can set the pace of the day. So both the moon and Mercury are highly active on Monday, and of course Mondays are not the day to mess with us, right? Now let's move to Tuesday, August 17th. Things are going to get a little confusing once again. This is definitely another quincunx week. Quincunxes are 150-degree angles, and they are confusing because they happen when the planets are in two signs that don't have any commonalities or anything to bridge the gap. So the Sun is going to form a quincunx to Pallas and a quincunx to Pluto on the same day, and this is something we experienced last week when Mercury made a quincunx to both Pallas and Pluto, so we want to be mindful. Things can get intense. There may even be some ego death. There's a lot of things happening with the Sun this week that are confusing, and what that just generally means is that we may feel like we're a little bit out of control. We're feeling like we're losing not only our grip on reality, but our grip on the things that we're trying to pursue in our reality at this time, things that we're going after, our conscious motivations. Things may get intense because you're wanting to force and control things, and it doesn't seem to pan out the way that you are planning it to be. Also, with Pallas in the conversation, just like last week, you may try to take on some more manipulative tactics to get what you want. With Pallas and Pluto both there can be a lot of control, power plays, and then the moon is going to make a square to Pallas, which is going to activate that larger energy signature, so be mindful of that. Now let's move to Wednesday, August 18th. This is a very critical day, lots of energy, lots of mental firepower, lots of heated debates and conversations coming our way. The moon is going to enter Capricorn at 1:58 a.m., so we will have an entire day pretty much with the moon being in Capricorn, and moon doesn't like being in Capricorn so much, so there already is a setup for some tension or conflict to possibly happen. This is the day that Mercury forms his conjunction with Mars, both in the sign of Virgo. So there's a lot of focus right now about how we're taking care of our body, our daily routines. But anytime Mercury and Mars come together, there is a lot of mental firepower, lots of energy, lots of impulsiveness and aggression to our conversations. You want to watch what you say and think before you speak at this time, especially because Chiron's in the conversation. And just as Mars and Mercury form their conjunction on Wednesday, both of them are going to form a confusing, you guessed it, quincunx to Chiron. So Chiron has now entered this conversation, and anytime Chiron's in the conversation, there's something that triggers us. There's something that feels vulnerable to us. So not only will we be communicating more rashly, more aggressively, not thinking about the way the other person is feeling, just trying to get our point across. A lot of ego energy coming with Mars conjunct Mercury. But we may be offending others. We may be triggering others with our words. We may not be as empathetic at this time. But the great thing about this is that anytime Chiron's in the conversation, there is a healing that can take place. So I'm not telling you to go out and just trigger everybody or try to get on everyone's nerves or be offensive on purpose. But whatever may come up for you, or if people are saying things that trigger you online, through email, through text, in person, wherever the miscommunication may happen, or wherever these heated debates may be, whatever comes up for you at that time, take a look at it. Is this something that is still left to be healed? Of course, all of us keep saying our triggers are our teachers, and this is very true. And Chiron is there to say, yes, you may feel vulnerable by what someone is saying, but it may not be the time to heal it, but it may be the time to feel that, process it, allow it to come up, so later on you can work through it, transmute it, and let it go. Now also on Wednesday, we have a very important conversation happening between Saturn in Aquarius and Juno in Sagittarius, both forming a sextile to each other. Sextiles are 60-degree angles. They are supportive, they are beneficial, but they offer you an opportunity or a potential to allow that bridge to happen. Trines are very powerful. They're like, I'm coming over, I'm here to help you. Sextiles are more like, hey, let me know if you need anything. Text message, something quick. Not necessarily going to force its way into your life. You do have to activate it or focus your energy on it to bring that sextile energy to the surface. Now, Saturn and Juno, this is a wonderful conversation because Juno is the love child between Venus and Saturn. So she is long-term partnerships, relationships, marriages, business transactions, roommates. Whatever the case may be, Saturn is all about discipline, hard work, but long-term goals. He rules Capricorn. And Juno, of course, is all about long-term relationships. So there's a lot of work we're trying to put into our long-term relationships right now, and there's a lot of loyalty, a lot of commitment that we can pull in from this energy. Of course, it is a sextile, so you do have to tune into that. You have to kind of focus your energy there and make an intention and set your intention to give more to these relationships that need more work. There is a solidity that can come with Saturn energy. So if you're putting in the work, if you are being more disciplined and giving more of your energy, and there's more fairness happening with these long-term partnerships, marriages, if there is more of a focus and a structure, and you are being more diligent about how you are showing up and being there for these other people and demanding as well that you get the same in return, Saturn will reward you. Of course, he's the Lord of Karma. He does punish, but he also rewards. Pull this energy in. It is beneficial. It wants to help you, and it's not just about marriages. It's about all these projects. It's agreements, things that you feel obligated to. Saturn can really glue things together, and once that glue dries, his energy is like cement. You can at this time, with a little bit more work, become more bonded, more respected, more solid in your relationship. How about that? Now, on the same day that all of this is going on, still on Wednesday, Venus and Libra will form this beautiful trine to Lilith and Gemini, and this is really about getting right with your witchy energy. This is taking more pleasure in expressing who you truly are and seeing the beauty in a lot of the more darker aspects of yourself. And you may find that you are feeling better about expressing who you really are, and that might be offensive to some, but most will see that as beautiful. Most will appreciate that, and there's a pleasure we can take in that. Now let's move to Thursday, August 19th. This is a huge day. This is one of the days that is so important. We've been waiting for this. We've been moving toward this. Of course, as you all know, 2021 is in with the new. 2020 was out with the old. And of course, anytime we bring up new, unique, future timelines, any of that, we are talking about Aquarius and Uranus energy. This is the year of Uranus and the year of Aquarius. Saturn, the traditional ruler of Aquarius, and Uranus, the modern ruler of Aquarius, are squaring off this year. And this is the largest, one of the most important energy signatures of 2021. Also, we had a superstellium in Aquarius this year for the first time since 1962 in that way. And of course, we are coming up on our second full moon in Aquarius. So we have 2 full moons in Aquarius in 2021. This is meaningful. Now, on the 19th, Uranus, the ruler of Aquarius, is going to go retrograde. This is going to shake shit up. This is where everything's going to get really interesting. This can bring about a lot of chaos. So during the rest of this year, as Uranus is in retrograde, I want everyone to be mindful that this happens every year. This isn't something to be scared of. It's not like a Mercury retrograde. You don't feel it the same way as you do Mercury retrogrades or Venus retrogrades because it is not a personal planet. It does affect the collective or things that are going on the world stage a little bit more than it affects you or makes you feel a certain type of way personally. And Uranus is going to make his way back. As he moves back, we are going to, in December, get a third and final exact hit of this Saturn square Uranus energy. Now, on the same day as Uranus goes retrograde, the Sun is going to make an opposition to Jupiter. So this is very interesting. Sun opposite Jupiter is not the worst transit ever. Oppositions can be tense and difficult, but anytime Jupiter's in the conversation, there's some type of benefit. Maybe it's just a little bit too much. There's just an excess of something. And with the Sun involved, we might have an excessive amount of ego. Okay, so Jupiter in an opposition, especially with the Sun, can bring about guru energy. So of course, last week Mercury opposed Jupiter. Now we have the Sun opposite Jupiter. This is cocky energy, arrogant. We don't need the answers. We've got everything figured out. And we're being a little bit too overly confident. We're aiming a little too high with Sun opposite Jupiter. Be mindful of your energy. We've had so much of this inward energy. Sun opposite Jupiter may have you wanting to really go big or go home, and you may not have it all figured out. The trajectory and where it will land is not where you think it will because you're overly confident and presumptuous. You want to take some time to really think about, where am I going? What do I want out of this year? What are all of these future possibilities that I want and all of these desires that I have? And how can I get to them in the long term? Do they need to happen now? Can I take a new approach? Am I ready to do something new? All of these are questions that you can be asking yourself at this time. Now let's move to Friday, August 20th. The moon will enter Aquarius at 4:45 a.m. Eastern time, so we're going to get a pretty full day with a lot of Aquarius energy, and Uranus is going to step up to the plate and form a beautiful supportive trine to Mercury. So as Mercury is receiving support from Uranus, this is going to really bring us a lot of flashes of insight, new ideas, new directions are coming in. All of these new future timelines are coming into our consciousness, and we're finally seeing it. We are focused on the future. We're wanting to make those moves forward. We're thinking outside of the box. This really helps you because there's so many changes you're wanting to make, but we're also being very hyper realistic about this because Saturn is in the conversation this year. And we're also coming up against a lot of obstacles. Bills, money issues, authority figures, job things, real life shit that's holding you down and keeping you back and restricting your progress. Conversations may be a little non-conformative and unconventional. Conversation topics may go into all these different directions and we may learn something new. Stay open to this at this time. So just as a recap this week, this is very chaotic week. Lots of Uranus energy, lots of electrifying energy, lots of Mars energy as well. Mercury is back at it again, causing a lot of confusion, causing a lot of mind-opening experiences. There will be lots of conversations or new ideas that come in that really spark a new direction or reignite your purpose and your passion. Be open to the new ways something can happen. A lot of us are really focused on what we want in very specific ways. I want a new lover and they must be like this. I want a new job, but it only can be like this. This week is really going to open you up and try to move you in a new direction that you may not be expecting, and it may feel a little chaotic inside. So be mindful that we have this 2Q moon in Scorpio, which is pretty intense that we start the week with. You want to maybe do a little ritual about that. There will be a ritual for the 2Q moon in Scorpio on my Instagram page and my website for you to use that energy and not let it use you, because it will. That Scorpio energy will have power over you if you don't take control first. Now also, be mindful of your energy this week. You may be expelling more energy than you actually have. Remember, pay attention to these long-term partnerships and relationships. We are being supported to give a lot of our attention there, to be more disciplined about this, to show up, be more structured, and actually put in the work. This is really going to help solidify these projects and these relationships that may have been kind of on unsteady or unsolid ground. Saturday, August 21st, there are no major conversations happening between outer planets, inner planets. There are moon transits happening that day, but that doesn't mean we're off the hook. We will really be pulling in that full moon in Aquarius part 2 energy when the moon goes into Aquarius on Friday at 4:45 a.m. Eastern Time, and Saturday will really be building up to that. So you may be feeling a lot of anxiousness, restlessness, hyperreactivity. It's not always just on the day that the full moon happens. So as we get closer to the end of this week, when Uranus goes retrograde and the moon goes into Aquarius, something new wants to come into your consciousness. Something new, something unconventional, something that you weren't expecting wants to rise up and push you forward. This is everything you've been waiting for, but a lot of you have been holding yourselves back. Allow this wave of electrical energy to move you forward. If it zaps you a little bit, hurts a little bit, feels a little chaotic, that's okay. Movement is happening. Progress is being made. Thank you all so much again for joining me today for the Cosmic Forecast and Energy Update. If you're not already following me on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, you must do that now at the.astromedium or just the AstroMedium. If you'd like to book a reading with me, please go to my website, www.theastromedium.com. Also, I am the in-house intuitive astrologer for Eclipse Over Roswell here in Atlanta, Georgia, and we have partnered together to bring you lots of courses and classes. I teach Astrology Fun every Wednesday. It is open to the public. All classes are available on Zoom and in person if you live in the Atlanta area. I also teach human design, psychic development, mediumship, alchemy of 9 dimensions. I do an Empaths Anonymous group every other Sunday, so check out my Instagram and my website for more information about that. All right, everybody, thank you so much again, and I'll see you all next week.